You were sitting quietly, reading, watching something, just existing in the same room as your dog. And then out of nowhere your dog released a long, slow, deep sigh. Not a whine, not a bark, not any sound that obviously demanded attention. Just that exhale, deep and complete and somehow heavier than a normal breath. And then they settled. Chin on paws, eyes soft. So, you probably smiled. Maybe you said something like, "Yeah, me too." And then you moved on. But that sigh was not nothing. It was not random. It was not your dog being dramatic or tired or bored. That sound, that specific, deliberate, full-body exhale, is one of the most emotionally loaded vocalizations your dog is capable of producing. And depending on when it happens, how it sounds, and what your dog's body does around it, it can mean completely different things that most owners never learn to distinguish. By the end of this video you will hear your dog's sighs differently. You will know what each one means, what your dog needs in that moment, and why the sigh they release when they are beside you is one of the most profound expressions of trust and contentment in the entire canine emotional vocabulary. Stay until the end. Because the last thing I'm going to tell you about what a dog's sigh really means is the one that will change how you feel every time you hear it for the rest of your life together. In human communication, a sigh carries a specific emotional signature. We sigh when we are tired, frustrated, resigned, or relieved. We understand instinctively that a sigh is not just a breath. It is a breath with feeling attached to it. Dogs operate on exactly the same principle. A dog's sigh is not a reflexive biological event. It is a vocalization, one of the few sounds dogs produce that is not directed at changing another being's behavior, not a request or an alarm or a warning, but simply an expression of internal state made audible. Animal behaviorists who study canine vocalizations categorize the dog sigh as an affiliative sound, a sound produced in social contexts that communicates emotional information to those nearby. It is your dog's body making its inner state external. And like all communication, it carries different content depending on the context in which it occurs. The key distinction that most owners never learn is this. A sigh that occurs when your dog is settling, when they have just found their spot, when the day is winding down, when they are beside you and the world is quiet, is a completely different communication from a sigh that occurs when your dog is in a state of mild frustration, boredom, or unmet expectation. Both are real. Both matter. But one is your dog telling you they are at peace, and the other is your dog telling you something is missing. Learning to tell the difference is one of the most intimate things you can do as an owner, because it means you are finally fluent in a language your dog has been speaking all along. Does your dog sigh around you? When does it happen most? When they settle beside you, when they want something at the end of the day? Comment below. I want to know when your dog exhales and what the room feels like when they do. The contented sigh is the one most owners have heard 1,000 times without fully understanding what they were hearing. It happens in specific conditions that are worth paying attention to. Your dog has just settled beside you after a period of activity. Or the house has gone quiet after a busy day. Or you have both been in the same room for long enough that the ambient stress of the world has fully dissipated and what remains is just this. The two of you. Together. Safe. And then the sigh comes. Long, slow, complete. Often accompanied by the chin dropping fully onto the paws. The eyes going soft. The entire musculature of the body releasing downward, as if the dog is becoming slightly heavier and slightly more a part of the floor beneath them. This sigh is a physiological event as much as an emotional one. Research into canine stress physiology has found that deep exhalation in dogs is directly correlated with a drop in cortisol, the stress hormone. The sigh is not just expressing contentment. It is producing it. Your dog's body is using the deep breath to actively transition out of alertness and into rest, releasing the accumulated tension of the day in a single long exhale. And they do it beside you. Specifically beside you. Not alone in another room. Not in their bed in the corner. Beside you, because your presence is part of what makes the release possible. Your scent, your sounds, the specific quality of the air in the space you occupy, all of it is telling your dog's nervous system, this is safe. You can let go now. That sigh is the sound of your dog letting go. And you are the reason they can. Not every sigh is contentment. And learning to tell the difference is where reading your dog goes from general to genuinely intimate. The frustration sigh, sometimes called the expectation sigh, has a different quality from the contented one. It is often slightly shorter, sharper at the end. And crucially, it is almost always accompanied by eyes that are open and watching you, waiting for a response. This sigh happens in specific contexts. Your dog wants a walk and you have not moved toward the leash. Your dog is hungry and the bowl has been empty longer than usual. Your dog wants engagement, play, attention, interaction, and you are absorbed in something else. They have tried the more obvious communications and those have not worked. So they have arrived at the sigh. The last non-demanding request. The sound of an expectation being held with diminishing patience. The body language around this sigh is the key. If your dog sighs and their head lifts slightly, if their eyes are open and oriented toward you or toward whatever they want, if there is a subtle tension in their posture rather than the full body release of the contented sigh, they are asking. Politely. In the softest way they know how. The owners who catch this distinction find that responding to it changes the relationship in a small but meaningful way. Your dog tried a subtle communication and you heard it. You understood it. You responded to it without them having to escalate to whining or pawing or more demanding behaviors. That responsiveness, that fluency, builds trust in a way that the bigger moments cannot. Because it happens in the small ones over and over until your dog understands. This person hears me even when I speak quietly. If you have already started replaying your dog's sighs with new ears, hit like right now. This is the kind of content that changes how you see your dog every single day. And your support helps us keep making it. There is a third type of sigh that sits between contentment and frustration, the resignation sigh. And once you recognize it, you will find it quietly heartbreaking in the best possible way. The resignation sigh happens when your dog wanted something and has accepted that it is not going to happen. The walk that was not taken. The game that was not started. The moment of connection that passed without being received. They held the expectation, waited with it, communicated it as clearly as they could, and then, when it became clear that this particular thing was not going to happen today, they let it go. The sigh that accompanies this letting go is heavier than the contented sigh. Slower. And the settling that follows it lacks the quality of peace. The body goes down not with a sense of arrival but with a sense of adjusting to what is. It is the sound of a small hope being quietly filed away. Dogs are remarkably gracious about this. They do not sulk. They do not carry resentment. They do not bring the unmet expectation back up an hour later as evidence of your failures. They simply accept, exhale, and move on, with a readiness to try again tomorrow that most humans could spend a lifetime learning from. But knowing this sigh exists means you can choose to hear it before it becomes resignation. The frustrated sigh is still a question. The resignation sigh is the question answered by silence. If you can catch the first, you never have to hear the second. The relief sigh is the one that will make you understand just how much your dog carries when the world is difficult for them. It happens at the end of something hard. A vet visit. A thunderstorm. A long period alone. A car journey that made them anxious. Whatever the stressor was, when it ends, when the threat is gone, when the safe place is restored, when you are back within reach, there is often a sigh. Deep, long, complete. The sound of a nervous system finally releasing something it has been holding tightly. This sigh is physiologically distinct from the others. Research into stress recovery in dogs shows that the deep exhalation following a stressful event is part of the parasympathetic nervous system re-engaging, the biological process of coming down from an alert state back to baseline. The sigh is not just expressing relief. It is part of how relief happens in the body. And the most remarkable thing about this sigh is where it tends to happen. Not alone. Not in a quiet corner. Beside you. Because you are the condition that makes the relief possible. Your presence, your specific, familiar, trusted presence, is what tells your dog's nervous system, the danger is over. The hard thing has passed. You can come back down now. That sigh beside you after something difficult is your dog's body telling you what their voice cannot. You made it safe enough to let go. You are the exhale. Every night, without exception, your dog sighs before they sleep. You may have never noticed it because it is quiet and it happens in the dark and there are 1,000 other small sounds of a house settling into night. But if you listen for it, tonight when the lights are off and everyone is still, you will hear it. That one long exhale that comes after the circling and the settling, after the position has been found and the body has committed to it. The last breath of the day that sounds different from all the others. This is the sigh that carries everything. The whole day, the walks and the meals and the watching and the waiting and the small joys and the minor anxieties, all of it released in one breath. This is your dog's body completing the day. Officially. Physiologically. With a sound. And it happens in your presence. In your home. In the space you share. Because the day cannot be complete until they are beside you and the world is quiet and something in them knows. Everyone is here, everyone is safe, nothing more is required of me tonight. That sigh is the most honest sound your dog makes. It contains no request. No communication directed at changing your behavior. No performance for an audience. It is just truth. The sound of an animal at perfect peace in the company of the one being in the world they trust completely. Every night your dog tells you exactly how they feel about you. With one breath. Listen for your dog's sigh tonight. The last one before they sleep. Then come back here and tell me, what did the room feel like when you finally heard it the right way? I want to know. Your dog has been sighing beside you for as long as you have been together. Every contented exhale when they found their spot beside you. Every frustrated breath when something they wanted did not happen. Every relief sigh at the end of something hard. Every resignation exhale when a small hope was quietly let go. And every night, without fail, that last long breath before sleep that contains the whole day in a single sound. You heard all of them. You understood almost none of them. Until now. Tonight, when your dog settles beside you and exhales, really listen. Not to the sound. To what the sound means. It means I am here. You are here. The world is quiet. Everything I need is in this room. It means, this is enough. You are enough. It means I am home. If this changed how you hear your dog's breathing, subscribe to the Dog Mind. Every week we decode something your dog has been telling you for years that you never fully understood. Your dog speaks every single day in ways most owners never learn to hear. Subscribe. Start listening.